Benson and Melissa continued walking forward, silently watching the various performances. Sometime later, they saw a clown running towards them. His face was painted in colorful pastels. At first, he threw a tennis ball into the air, and while the attention of the surrounding people was drawn to the air, he conjured a flower out of thin air. It was a Seville chrysanthemum. The clown brought the flower before Melissa and Benson. The flower was golden in color and symbolized happiness. Melissa and Benson looked at the clown in a daze. All they saw was a wide smile plastered over the pastel face. It was a happy smile, an exaggerated smile, a ridiculous smile. Lumion instinctively sat up, leaning forward. He placed his hands on the ground and scanned his surroundings. He saw a twisted, thorny wall, a barren landscape devoid of vegetation, and the dream ruins beyond. He spotted Ryan, Leah, and Valentine lying at the edge of a room not far away. They were sound asleep. Lumion abruptly bowed his head, raised his hands, grasped his hair, and whispered in anguish, "Is reality a dream, and the dream reality? Is this the present or the past? Aurori? Is Aurori beyond saving?" "Yes!" A woman's voice echoed in the ruins. Lumion looked up, bewildered, and faintly saw the enigmatic woman appear before him. She approached, wearing the orange dress she donned in the beginning. Lumion gazed at the mysterious woman, dazed, realizing that the indescribable and inexplicable emotion in her eyes had resurfaced. This time, he could finally decipher it. It was pity.
Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. At this moment, the pointy-hatted Monocle Daemon walked to the edge of the ravine, with his back facing the grayish-white building. He spread his arms slightly and said with a smile, "This is the Holy Land where my father was awoken. Buried in it is the history I wish to see. My father told me that this place has an ancient name called..." As a streak of silver lightning tore through the sky, the black-robed Amon paused as he widened his arms, saying with a solemn tone, "Chernobyl. Chernobyl." Upon hearing Amon's words, Klein's first reaction was one of shock. Back when they were approaching the bluish-black, single-eyed giant, he had come up with many possibilities, but he never expected to hear such a name. This was akin to seeing a machine gun appear in an ancient oil painting, or a novel's plot appearing in a scientific paper. It was filled with unbelievable contradictions. In the next second, he thought of the funny matter about how the ancient sun god had used his rib to create Dark Angel Sisir, but had named his eldest son Adam. He instinctively believed that the current situation was similar, and he couldn't help but laugh.
Sent.
The oldest and strongest emotion of man is fear, and the oldest and strongest fear is the fear of the unknown. Always remember that you are a he, not a him. Amidst the shock experienced by Leonard, Fours, and the other members of the Tarot Club, Katlia, who already had a premonition, suppressed her emotions and decided to ask another question. "Honorable Mr. Fool, what's the attitude of the 7 deities regarding this matter?" "Good question." The Fool Klein inwardly praised her.
and he explained by using the Red Angel Evil Spirit's explanation in his own words. The 7 deities wish to have a Black Emperor, but they are not unanimous in their candidate for the Black Emperor. So that's the situation. Following that, they suddenly had a question. Since George III had already made preparations and had reached the final step of carrying out the ritual while obtaining the tacit approval of the 7 deities, why would he fail? They immediately thought of an answer, because Mr. Fool didn't agree to it. Seeing that everyone was silent, the Fool Klein looked at the hermit Catlia and said, "Any other questions? There's nothing else this time." Catlia bowed her head even lower. She was more respectful than before towards the mighty figure at the end of the long bronze table. Although she had long known that Mr. Fool had the Snake of Fate, Death Console, an ancient bane under him, and was in secret control of the life school of thought, she still never expected that the powers Mr. Fool could mobilize in the real world were able to destroy a king's apotheosis ritual. Furthermore, he had foiled a plot of a king of angels, the son of the Creator. His hands were clasping a silver cross in front of his chest as he wore a genial and calm look. Adam, Twilight Hermit Order's chair, King of Angels Adam. Klein didn't even know when he had arrived. At this moment, Adam looked up, revealing his clear, limpid eyes that resembled a child's. He slowly stood up, speaking with a calm expression. George III's death causes Lowen to suffer a heavy blow. Unable to sit idle any further, Intis decides to take this opportunity to launch an attack. This war officially develops into a war that sweeps through the world. Can you accept such an outcome? Although there was no concept of temperature in the Hall of Truth, Klein still felt a chill down his spine when he heard that. He felt a wave of heat, and he wanted to defend himself, but when he opened his mouth, he didn't know what to say. For a few silent seconds, his figure was reflected in Adam's limpid eyes before he said with some difficulty, "I accept it, but I will try my best to minimize the damage caused by the war in the future so long as I'm still alive." He paused and asked in a deep voice, "Is this the price you exacted for the bestowment? Back when a certain ascetic here mentioned your true name, you had already noticed this book and secretly made arrangements?"
The Blood Son of Heaven disrupted the Netherworld, and the underworld Taoist sacrificed himself to enter the river. The tall as a mountain Blood Emperor, who wore a red cape with his eyes being abnormally crazy, containing almost zero reasoning. When I looked up at them, I lost consciousness when the Blood Emperor looked at me. The War Angel is the Lord's rage, the Lord's punishment. His appearance over the land means war is at hand.
The great god of war, the symbol of iron and blood, the ruler of chaos and strife.
The dragon has 3 heads. One to be a murderer who will unleash death. One to be a monarch whose crown will weigh heavy. And one to be mad whose ideas will change history.
Soon, Klein, running into the old metropolis, situated inside the fog of history, surveyed the surroundings and prepared to pray to the Evernight goddess. All of a sudden, a faint sound rang out as an ancient wooden stick with traces of blood penetrated Klein's heart from behind. A figure phased into existence behind him. It was a cold-looking man wearing a half-top hat and a black trench coat, German Sparrow. Klein's pupils dilated as the crazy adventurer said with a deep voice, "Adam, has given me humanity.
That's the reason I'm afraid. Every thought's the contained, and I'm trying to be sane. And I'm trying to be sane. And I'm trying to be sane.
Do you have any ibuprofen? I got a headache.
Baby, if your lover's in trouble, when you know, you know. When you know, it kinda makes me laugh. Running down that path when you're good as gold. 'Cause when you know, when you're old, you're old. Like Hollywood and me, the diamond on your ring, the soul that you bring to the table, one that makes me sing.
Yes, I'm racist.